Welcome back to another episode of Daily Neville. I am your host, Josiah Brandt, and Daily Neville is all about breaking down the teachings of Neville Goddard, making them easy to understand, easy to digest, easy to apply, in 20 minutes or less. Today we're continuing with Neville's book, Freedom for All, a practical application of the Bible. And this episode is all about Chapter 4, The Secret of Feeling. Let's go ahead and dive right in. The secret of feeling. The secret of feeling, or the calling of the invisible into visible states, is beautifully told in the story of Isaac blessing his second son Jacob in the belief, based solely on feeling, that he was blessing his first son Esau. It is recorded that Isaac, who was old and blind, felt that he was about to leave this world, and, wishing to bless his first son Esau before he died, sent Esau hunting for savory venison, with the promise that upon his return from the hunt, he would receive his father's blessing. Now, Jacob, who desired the birthright, or right to be born through the blessing of his father, overheard his blind father's request for venison and his promise to Esau. So, as Esau went hunting for the venison, Jacob killed and dressed a kid of his father's flock, placing the skins upon his smooth body to give him the feel of his hairy and rough brother Esau. He brought the tastily prepared kid to his blind father Isaac. And Isaac, who depended solely upon his sense of feeling, mistook his second son Jacob for his first son Esau, and pronounced his blessing on Jacob. Esau, on his return from the hunt, learned that his smooth-skinned brother Jacob had supplanted him, so he appealed to his father for justice. But Isaac answered him and said, "Thy brother came with subtlety, and hath taken away thy blessing. I have made him thy lord, and all his brethren have I given to him for servants." Simple human decency should tell man that this story cannot be taken literally. There must be a message for man hidden somewhere in this treacherous and despicable act of Jacob. The hidden message, the formula of success buried in this story, was intuitively revealed to the writer, Neville, in this manner. Isaac, the blind father, is your consciousness, your awareness of being. Esau, the hairy son, is your present objectified world. The rough or sensibly felt, the present moment, the present environment, your present conception of yourself. In short, the world you know by reason of your objective senses. Okay, so Esau, the hairy son. So it is through our feeling, our senses, our five senses, in particular, a sense of touch, that we can feel the world around us. That's our sensory world. We interact on a very three-dimensional level with our physical five senses. Esau is the hairy son, representing the world of the five senses. Neville goes on to say that Jacob, the smooth-skinned lad, or the second son, is your desire, or your subjective state, an idea not yet embodied. Smooth-skinned, meaning that it hasn't yet taken on the five sensory aspect to it. It's not three-dimensional yet. It's smooth-skinned. Esau is the three-dimensional world. Jacob would be a higher dimensional world in this case, or higher dimensional idea. Jacob is a subjective state which is perceived and sensed, but not yet objectively known or seen. A point in time and space removed from the present. In short, Jacob is your desire, your defined objective. The smooth-skinned Jacob, or subjective state seeking embodiment, or the right of birth, when properly felt or blessed by his father, when consciously felt and fixed as real, becomes objectified, and in so doing he supplants the rough, hairy Esau, or the former objectified state. Two things cannot occupy a given place at one and the same time. And so, as the invisible is made visible, the former visible state vanishes. Now, this story is truly a remarkable revelation of the creative power of imagination. And it's a recipe, it's a formula. It's a revelation of a recipe and a formula. So it's Isaac being the blind father who's relying only on his sense of feeling. I think all of us can identify with the state of Isaac. Isaac is our awareness, and our awareness is going to be guided in pretty much all cases based on what we can feel to be real. Now, a lot of times we feel real what we can observe with our senses, and that's Esau, the hairy, rough-skinned son. But Jacob is the desire. So Jacob clothes himself in fur to fool Isaac into believing that he is real. Now, this is that same process that Neville teaches over and over and over again, and we've covered in tremendous depth throughout all of the seasons of Daily Neville. This is about going into consciousness and going back to that state of floating, which is basically, I am faceless, formless, unconditioned awareness without any layers of identity added on. I simply am. And then beginning to feel real. What would the feeling be like were I now experiencing what I desire to experience? Were I now the man, the woman, the human that I desire to be? What would that feeling be like? That is represented in this story by Jacob putting on the hairy covering of the goat to fool Isaac into believing that he is real, believing that he is 3D. Well, Isaac is your consciousness. You're literally fooling your consciousness into believing right now that it is real. This higher dimensional idea is actually physical right now, and you're feeling it real in your consciousness. Now, if you studied in any way the psychological teachings of the subconscious mind and the conscious mind, there are aspects of your mind that cannot tell the difference between an experience you're actually having in the 3D and an experience that you're imagining that you're having. Your subconscious mind doesn't truly know the difference. Well, in this case, Isaac would be your subconscious mind, and you are fooling it into believing that it's happening right now. And in so doing, you are getting the birthright. You are giving your smooth-skinned son or your desire the right of birth, the right of being born into physical material reality by fooling your consciousness into believing that it is already real. You're stealing that birthright from what is so-called real, meaning already outpictured, the old state. You're stealing the birthright back and you're placing it upon your desired state, the imaginary act. Jacob, the smooth-skinned lad, clothed in the fur of the goat. And this is a recipe, and this is the formula. And this is what we are taught to do in the sacred scriptures. This is the truth that sets man free, because you're no longer at the mercy of the world around you. You're no longer at the mercy of external cause. You no longer have to give away your power to false gods when you know who you are, and you reclaim that power, and you use the law of consciousness, which was given to you as gifts by mystics who lived thousands of years before you did. It's a precious and sacred gift. Will you use it? That's the only question here. Will you use it? Continuing with Neville's words, he says, your consciousness is the cause of your world. The conscious state in which you abide determines the kind of world in which you live. There's that word again, abide, to live in. It's not just touching it once. This is your state of being. It is the mansion in which you dwell. Neville continues, your present concept of yourself is now objectified as your environment. And this state is symbolized as Esau, the hairy or sensibly felt first son. That which you would like to be or possess is symbolized as your second son, Jacob, the smooth-skinned lad who is not yet seen, but is subjectively sensed and felt, and will, if properly touched, right? How do you touch it? By going into consciousness. He's going to share more about that in a moment here. That's how we touch it. We are Isaac. We must reach out and touch the son. Come near to me, my son, that I may touch you. That's your consciousness saying, draw this desire near to me. Help me feel it real that I may touch it. In imagination, that I may give it my blessing to be born into material reality. Always bear in mind the fact that Isaac, the father of these two sons, or states, is blind. He does not see his smooth-skinned son Jacob. He only feels him. And through the sense of feeling, He actually believes Jacob, the subjective, to be Esau, the real, the objectified. You do not see your desire objectively. You simply sense it or feel it subjectively. You do not grope in space after a desirable state. Like Isaac, you sit still and send your first son hunting by removing your attention from the objective world. Then, in the absence of your first son, Esau, the part of your consciousness which is focused on what is, you invite the desirable state, or what you desire to be, your second son, Jacob, to come close so that you may feel it. Come close, my son, that I may feel you. First, you are aware of it in your immediate environment. Then you draw it closer and closer and closer until you sense it and feel it in your immediate presence so that it is real and natural to you. If two of you shall agree on earth as touching on any point that they shall ask, it shall be done for them of my Father which is in heaven. The two agree through the sense of feel. And the agreement is established on earth. It is objectified. It is made real. In this case, the two agreeing are Isaac and Jacob, you and that which you desire. And the agreement is made solely on the sense of feeling. Esau symbolizes your present objectified world, whether it be pleasant or otherwise. Jacob symbolizes any and every desire of your heart. Isaac symbolizes your true self, with your eyes closed to the present world, in the act of sensing and feeling yourself to be or to possess that which you desire to be or possess. The secret of Isaac, this sensing feeling state, is simply the act of mentally separating the sensibly felt, your present physical state or the world that you currently are living in, from the insensibly felt, or that which you would like to be, that dream that you have that isn't physical yet. With the objective senses tightly shut, or with Esau sent hunting, Isaac made, and you can make, the insensibly felt, the subjective state, or the desire, or the dream, or the wish, seem real or sensibly known through feeling. For faith is knowledge. Faith is knowing. Faith is knowledge. Knowing the law of self-expression, the law by which the invisible is made visible, is not enough. It must be applied. And this is the method of application. And we're going to leave it here for today, right on the brink here. In the next episode, we're going to go into tremendous detail about what the method of application is. Neville has broken it down into a multi-step process, into a formula or a recipe for victory. Until the next episode, my friends, imagine wisely, and I will see you very soon.